Okay, before we begin, I need to put a content warning on this video. If you don't like history, don't bother watching, it'll be boring. If you're an expert on history, don't bother watching, you'll be frustrated by the mistakes that I make. I use the words piss and f***, so if you're easily offended. I also show an image of a statue with an erection. I'd really love to tell you all about where I am and show you some pretty images of windmills and canals and all of that great Dutch stuff, but I'm desperate to go to the toilet, so we have to do that first. I'm sorry. Oh dear. Thanks to Corona, the toilets are closed. I mean, it's probably not okay to piss in the canal. Oh, yeah, can't pretend I'm a dog and go on the grass. You actually need to make a reservation to get into a museum here. I already knew that, but I just walked in. So I said to the guy, can you make a reservation for me right now? Unfortunately, they're not full yet. So anyway, I'm just gonna leave you now. I'll be back. That was actually a really good museum. I'm kind of glad I needed to piss there. So if you haven't guessed already, today I'm in Leiden. It's about 45 minutes drive southwest of Amsterdam. This is a place where Rembrandt famously went to school. This is also a place where the Pilgrims as in Thanksgiving in the United States, founding fathers kind of thing, came and lived for a while before going to what is now called America. So Rembrandt was born here on the 15th of July, 1606. And the guidebook says that when he was just a young boy, the Pilgrims were here. He wasn't a painter at that point in time. But he lived right here. And here's a nice installation of a young boy looking at a self-portrait of Rembrandt. Poetic, artistic. So who were the Pilgrims? They were a group of people originally from England who had to flee during the rule of King James I in search of religious freedom. Basically, their strict interpretations of the Bible and religious teachings conflicted with membership of the Church of England. So they had to leave. Eventually, they went to America, of course, but some of them found a home here in Leiden, which at the time was a place where they could freely practice their religion and discuss and debate ideas in a way that you couldn't in England at the time. Bit of random trivia for you. John Quincy Adams, the 6th President of the United States, studied in Leiden and spoke Dutch. He and his brother came here when their father was ambassador to the Netherlands sometime a long time ago. Oh yes, and they lived on this street. Something like 7 presidents of the 7 other presidents, so 8 in total, of the United States were descendants of the Pilgrims. So let's rattle off some names, shall we? Clint Eastwood, Bing Crosby, Richard Gere, Katharine Hepburn, Marilyn Monroe, John D. Rockefeller, Thomas Willett, never heard of him, Christopher Reeve, Barack Obama, George Bush Jr., both by their mother's sides, Ulysses Grant, Calvin Coolidge, Zachary Taylor, Franklin D. Roosevelt, all descendant from Pilgrims. In other words, basically the entire Illuminati and world shadow government. So apparently, in travel guides written in the Golden Age, yes, you heard correctly, this was officially the most beautiful canal in the world. I'm going to quote directly a passage from one such travel guide. Van alle werelddelen is Europa het mooiste werelddeel. Van Europa zijn de Nederlanden het mooiste land. Van de 17 provinciën is Holland de mooiste. Van de Hollandse steden is Leiden de mooiste. En van alle straten en grachten van Leiden is het Rapenburg de mooiste. I mean, it's nice, but I don't agree. but it is nice. This beautiful canal is named after a resident that used to live here in the Middle Ages. For a period of time, pilgrims Robert Jepson and Robert something else used to live here, but that's not who it's named after. Groenhuizengracht is named after a sex worker that used to live here, which literally she was known as the Green Bunny. Or there might also be like a lost in translation thing going on. Maybe that's a euphemism, I don't know. Anyway, quaint. Such a shameless tourist. This here is the University of Leiden, which was founded in 1575 and therefore is the oldest in the Netherlands. And then behind the university building, you've got the oldest botanic gardens in the Netherlands. If you were enrolled as a student at the university, that is not the university, by the way, you used to have this kind of freedom of speech or immunity from prosecution, which let you, study and discuss and debate and acquire knowledge without having to worry too much about saying or doing subversive things, subversive against, I don't know, the church or the king or something like that. There was this guy, Thomas Brewer, who used to print books containing subversive material, and he was wanted by the English authorities for a number of years. William Brewster was one of the relatively small number of highly educated pilgrims who used to live here. In this little laneway, he operated a printing thing, like he printed books and stuff. Brewster and his wife Mary had a son named Jonathan, two other sons named Love and Wrestling, and two daughters named Patience and Fear. So imagine everything I've just shown you completely underwater. That's how it was during the end of So imagine everything I've just shown you completely underwater. That's how it was on the 3rd of October 1574, at the end of the Siege of Leiden. And every year on the 3rd of October, the locals have basically a big party to celebrate that day. The Siege of Leiden, and this particular part of it, was one of the most famous episodes during the 80 Years' War of the Dutch struggle for independence against the ruling Spaniards. Leiden was one of the cities in the Netherlands that took sides with William of Orange, and the Spanish were, So William of Orange hatched a plan to defend the city against the Spanish siege. He figured out that the Spanish didn't have a navy, and if there's one thing that the Dutch knew how to do, it was float a boat. He took a decision to basically break the dikes and things that were protecting the town, like that's how the Netherlands works, and deliberately flooded the town. But at the same time, he collaborated with some pirates to load up some ships with herring and white bread and literally sail in on their ships to feed the starving locals. So every year on the 3rd of October, in Leiden, they have a party where they eat herring and white bread and celebrate their liberation from the Spanish at the hands of William of Orange's leadership. Yes, I am walking in circles, by the way. Moreover, this party, commemoration and feast is apparently one of, if not the inspiration for Thanksgiving. This 3rd of October has been going on since 1574. So the first American Thanksgiving was in 1621. So at the time that the Pilgrims were here, they saw this Thanksgiving style thing. I guess I should say it the other way around, because and were inspired by it.